Hello, YouTubers, friends, and compatriots. Bootlicker, shills, debt, slay, stars, peasants, vassals, minions, meat sacks. I'm a useful idiot. Welcome. And let's go back to Libya, because not only is the UK in there, and not only is France and other bad actors involved with their special forces in Libya, but the U.S. now acknowledges that they have U.S. special forces on the ground in Libya as well. And that's no surprise. I brought it up before in other videos, but seemed like a good follow-up considering that we have these new U.S. airstrikes by Barack Obama administration, U.S. airstrikes in Libya. And these have been ongoing, but there's been a couple more, obviously, in the last month or so that I've been gone. But I wanted to comment on it because it goes well with the fact that we're seeing a reassembly of a lot of Western forces reintroduced in Libya, in this case to combat ISIS. But once again, so ill-advised to go in there. And in the United States case, one of the things I keep bringing up is the authorization from a Bush law back in 2001 that allows the U.S. to basically to have these ongoing combat operations in countries we're not at war with, and at will. And so we have all these years later, after the Libyan so-called NATO intervention, we have the United States going in there whenever they want. We also have United Arab Emirates forces at play there. We've had Egyptian airstrikes, and we have what should be allies like Egypt, Saudi Arabia, and the United States that actually support different factors in the Libyan situation. So we've got another clusterfuck, just like Syria, that there really is no way to untangle it. It should just keep going on. But the United States acknowledges now that it has U.S. special forces on the ground in Libya, working in conjunction with these airstrikes and working with so-called moderate militias, once again, probably Al-Qaeda, to take on ISIS in Libya. They say that, quote, they're not on the front lines, unquote, and that they're supplying, quote, unique capabilities, unquote, so whatever that means. But another story that goes along with this that just exemplifies the point I'm making, that all these Western countries who are ill-advised to go into Libya in the first place, who are all reassembled back in there, really cannot manage the situation at all. And a good example of that is another story that just came out where remember General Haftar, General Khalifa Haftar, Hifter in some articles, but he controls the Libyan rebels in the eastern part of Libya, and this is the government that is supported by Egypt, Jordan, and United Arab Emirates, where the United States supports the Tripoli government, this puppet government they set up with a technocrat. And now it gets more complicated because General Haftar, and aside from that, the complications, of course, of ISIS, who at one point seized oil operations, or attempted to, but now we have Khalifa Haftar seizing 3 oil facilities. So this is going to deprive some legitimacy to the Tripoli government, because it's going to deprive them of some oil revenue. And the U.S. Doesn't endorse this the UN back. Haftar doesn't back up the government in Tripoli. So now we have 2 competing factors who are supported by similar allies: the United States, Egypt, United Arab Emirates, and Jordan. Yet they're going to be pitted against each other at some point if they aren't already. So now we have General Haftar also consolidating control of Benghazi, and so on. This war will continue. And as I've mentioned before, just like in a lot of these other countries that we see in the Middle East, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of different factors, tribes, militias, and all with different allegiances that switch at any given moment. And so there you have it, the United States acknowledging their ground presence. They are our boots on the ground in Libya, aside from the fact that we've had 29 airstrikes in Libya in this new round of U.S. attacks on a country that ostensibly we're not at war with anymore. I'm a useful idiot. Don't you be one too.